Yay! We are live, I think. That's what it's telling me. Hello, Stacy. Hello to everybody. I see LP, my golfer, Elise, Sandy, Denise. That rhymed. That was super fun. Celeste, Stacy. So excited that y'all have joined me here for the YouTube live. Actually, it's really funny. I don't know if y'all saw the short video I put out earlier today, but I recorded that today because I needed to get it out. And at one point I said, join me at the Facebook Live. And then later I say YouTube Live. So I had to go and edit. I had to like cut and pull out YouTube Live and paste it earlier. So that I don't know why I said Facebook. It's kind of ridiculous. Hello, Jamie. Oh, see, we need more. I keep trying, but I just can't remember. It's like with a month in between, pronunciations go out my brain. Hi, Jen and Lindsay. So Jen Lucas and Knit Eco Chic is Lindsay. She is a knitwear designer, and Jen is also a knitwear designer. So I'm excited they have joined us. Hi, Katie. I'm glad you joined the knitting party. So Jen, I don't know if she's been with us before. Jen she's written like 7 knitting books and is like the queen of shawls. So I adore her work. And Knit Eco Chic, her specialty is she is allergic to animal fibers. So she has specialized in non-animal fibers and taken it a step further to work her best with ecologically friendly types of yarn. So that is super cool. Yeah, Facebook, I can't. Oh, and there's Ruth. Ruth Brash is also a designer. She is my go-to, and I'm glad she comes because if y'all have any sock questions, I might as well be a sock puppet because I don't know anything about socks, and they definitely bail me out. Jamie, 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 Jamie. It's like literally I have all y'all, if you can't see, even though I click the button that says show chat on replay, YouTube doesn't always do that if you're watching this on replay. Jamie, I don't know why I want to say like hi me. I want to make it all fancy, but it's literally the way it is written. Jayme, Jamie. I will get that. I will get that next time. Jamie said she picked back in the library with the candlestick and you're making good headway. Excellent. That is great to hear. That is a super fun pattern, which is currently not in my possession because I had to ship it to Illinois. So that is one of the ones they wanted to. Greetings, Tracy. Hello, Arnetta in Washington, D.C. Cindy in Pennsylvania. Is it like, I don't know, show of hands? I don't know if y'all can raise your hands in there. How many people are someplace where it's ludicrously hot for whatever your climate is? I had to go and get a mammogram. We're not going to be embarrassed if I talk about lady stuff. I had to go get a mammogram today. And in the period of time, it was in the middle of the day. It was like 2:00. And as I was driving there, the radio, I was listening to NPR and it said, right now is the hottest it's going to be all day. And the heat index, like, so not the actual temperature, but what the temperature feels like, was between 105 and 110. And they were like, don't go outside if you don't have to go outside. And as soon as I got out of my car, I'm like, oh, so hot. Exactly the weather I wanted to go and get a mammogram in. Made so much fun. Yes, in Texas. I cannot imagine how hot it is in Texas. Hello, Danya in Kentucky. I hope that's close to correct. Danya in Kentucky. And Linda in Ontario. Is it a little cooler in Ontario? Oh my goodness. And Alien Green in Appalachia. Excellent. Alien Green is a fun name. Kathy in Sunnyvale, California. I'm going to resist making the Buffy the Vampire Slayer joke because I always do. Yeah, hot in Arnetta. Casey, North Carolina, hot in North Carolina, hot in the Ozarks for Sandy. Tracy figured out how to raise her hand. It is hot. 115, Denise, and I know that it's just a cliche to say, yeah, but it's a dry heat. The humidity here is like 100%. You step outside and it's like somebody smacked you in the face with a wet tile. It's actually hard to breathe when it's this hot. Hello, Melinda in Alaska. Please tell me it is not this hot in Alaska. Please tell me it's cool someplace. Hello, Diane in Seattle. Yeah, Alaska sounds really good about right now. Um, it's cooler in Quebec. Woo! I need to come to Quebec. I would love to go to Canada, actually. I would love to go all over Canada. I would love to go to the Pacific Northwest part of Canada and the French part of Canada because I hear there's really good eating there. I just want to go everywhere. Jamie, Kansas is over 100. Yeah, it's not, it's so hot. North Pole sounds good. Our Dazzling Creation says North Pole sound good. Sauna heat in North Carolina. 90 in Seattle. It's not supposed to be 90 in Seattle. It's really not. So, well, now that we have the weather reports, thank y'all. It's so hot. So many exciting things have happened since our last YouTube live. Our last YouTube live I wasn't able to do at the end of June because I was going out of town at the end of June. And so I wasn't out of town as long as I intended because my host where I was going gave me COVID. So I didn't. So I tested and I tested negative, and we moved our flight up. And I got home, and the next day, within the next little while, I tested positive. So both my son and I got COVID. Luckily, my mother lives relatively close, and my husband literally went and lived in her house for the amount of time that my son and I were supposed to be in quarantine. And he was kind of like our own personal Uber Eats kind of service. And he would bring us food. He would cook, he would bring stuff over, and we would close ourselves in our bedrooms so he wouldn't get exposed. But that was super, super fun. Hello, Hilda. I don't know. I missed something, but yeah. Appalachian, North Carolina. I didn't realize, for some reason, I didn't realize you were in the Appalachians, Lindsay. Cool. Southeast Kansas. In Ontario and Quebec. We got a lot of Canadians here, eh? And I know that not all y'all say eh, but I say y'all, so it is what it is. So yeah, we had the COVID. It was super fun. I don't recommend it, but with this new variant, it's like everybody's going to get it. I think it's like only 25% of the population now hasn't got COVID of some variety. So that is fun. But hello in Norway, Hilda. That is really cool. There's that is really cool. Is it Hilde or Hilda? I'm gonna go out. And Karen, hello in Michigan. Canadian in the South. North Carolina is not South. North Carolina has the word North right there in the name. It kind of makes it not very North. So I was down for the count for a little while, but I'm bouncing back. I'm getting my energy back. I do, and if you listen to a few of the videos for between the last live and this one, as they get longer, you can hear my voice starting to get a little gravelly. I've had to edit it out, so I don't have quite the staying power, but I am working on it. I've been going on walks in the morning when I'm not going to die of heat stroke. Wait till I say Canadian in the South and you live in Maine. Maine is definitely not South by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, Jamie, you had COVID too. Yeah, it's no fun. It is a whole lot of no fun. But luckily, my husband managed to avoid getting it. So that is very exciting. One of the things about it is I was just completely like, I didn't do any knitting. I was just way too wiped out to even do anything. I pretty much just sat on the couch, did a whole lot of nothing, watched like some TV. Actually, I spent a lot of time scrolling through TikTok and Instagram and things like that because just didn't have any motivation. Elizabeth, you are right. It is south of Canada. But, we're all south of, the North Pole. So technically, see, we got a lot of people in here recovering. So we'll get it. And hopefully, hello, Nancy in Huntsville, Alabama. Nancy, I have been to Huntsville, Alabama, and I have taught classes at the yarn store. I don't know if there's multiple, but a yarn store in Huntsville called Fiber Art. Fiber Art Works, Fiber Art something. Awesome store, super nice people. Absolutely loved going there. I actually went there, and we went with my husband and my son went, but my son was much younger, and they spent the weekend at the Air and Space Museum and went over to the Redstone Arsenal and things like that. And they had a galloping good time. So Huntsville is a great place. It's going to sound ridiculous, but one of the things I really remember about Huntsville is y'all have the biggest Whole Foods I have ever seen in my entire life. I walked into the Whole Foods. It's like it's like got 2 stories. It's like huge ceiling. It's not 2 stories. It's 2 stories tall. So it's all like airspace and just it was the biggest Whole Foods I've ever seen. That's a silly thing to remember. Southern California. Hey, Deborah. So let's talk about some knitting. Actually, not knitting. I can show you my embroidery. Here we go. I don't know if you saw, I did do the video on the peel, stick, and stitch that I showed y'all in the last live. And it was super fun. And next step, I need to like fill these in, but this is one of my gel prints. And I was really having a hard time with what to put on it. And the pre-prints really helped me out. And it was kind of nice because, again, it didn't take a lot of brain power. My brain power is kind of limited right now. And just following somebody else's lines was really, really nice. But I am, I don't know. How close can you see? My stitching, I am definitely not expert in the stitching. So this down here, though, the bottom part is freehand. That is, I follow her on Instagram. I can't exactly remember her name, but this is all blanket stitch. But she has this technique that she calls cell stitch that is to make this organic. It looks like cellular, like when you're looking at like the cross section, like when you were in like science class and you could look at the cells in plants. It's really cool. She's a really, really neat. You know what? Maybe I'm going to pull this over here. I liked her so much that I actually am a member of her Patreon. I did that so that I could get her cool stuff. Oh, come on. Go away. Here she is. Okay. Okay, so I just want to show this to you because this is behind a paywall, so I don't want to show you too much, but I want to show you her name. So here it is. Her name is Merjam. I can't even pretend. Merjam Gailin. And she does this really cool, all different kinds of different types. Here, I'm going to go to here to show a little. See, and I got, so this is her name. She does have a lot of stuff on Instagram. That's where I found her, is she does some really, really cool stuff on Instagram. Just absolutely beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous work. And I find it very inspiring. Here's one of the ones that's got here's the blankets. She just does really, really cool stuff. So that is, okay, how do I get out of this? So this is her name. I'm going to type it into the thingamajigger. Maybe not. Okay, Mirjamgielen. There we go. So we're going to go back to this. So she does the cell stitch and everything. So if you just want to add something beautiful to your Instagram feed that will be inspiring, because she has a lot of color and shape. And even if you don't embroider, it can inspire you in other ways with your knitting. And actually, I believe Elizabeth asked a question. Um, oh, so Denise asked, what do I do with the panel when I'm done stitching it? One moment. Please hold. Your call is important to us. I have another one that I've finished. I make a bag. So here's the first one I did. And this is the slowest part. Once I finish this, it'll probably sit like this forever because I don't like sewing, but I made a bag. And actually, I'm thinking, because originally what I did is I cut out the pieces for the bag and then I'm doing the bags, but I'm thinking for my future endeavors, I might do prints on fabric and make the bag separately and then applique the prints onto the bag because that'll give it another layer. And again, I've seen some really interesting work on Instagram of people layering fabrics and appliquing them on top of each other. So Denise asked, this is what I do with, and you can see this one. He looks surprised to me for some reason. It's very organic. This is what I normally do, and it's very improvised. You can see we got that little flock, but so this one is going to look very different because I use the stick and stitches. This stick and stitch, yes. Oh, you're using to doodle on your cutoffs. What? Oh, your cutoff jeans, maybe, Ruth? What do you have cutoffs of? Ruth says that she grabbed the stick and stitch set and she's using them to doodle on her cutoffs. I'm going to assume cutoff jeans because I like to imagine maybe Daisy Dukes. That could be super fun. How short are they, Ruth? But yes, so that is the embroidery that I have been working on. I need to do some more. And once that one is done, then I can allow myself to do some more of the jelly printing. Because I try to contain myself and not have too many projects going at the same time. So I originally did 4 of the jelly prints. And when I get the 4th one finished, then I'm going to go do more jelly prints. And I'm actually thinking about doing a lot of jelly prints, actually, because I want to, as I said, cut them out. And I might send them to some people if they want to embroider on them. That could be fun to see what other people do with it. I don't know. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. 3 inches above your knees. They could definitely be shorter, Ruth. I'm teasing Ruth about her cutoff jeans, but she can do whatever she's comfortable with. So, but going back, I think Elizabeth asked when I posted on Facebook that we were going to be doing this. Elizabeth, correct me if it wasn't you, about, let me pull this over here and make sure. What to do when your mojo is gone, what to knit when you're not feeling inspired. Have I done any more flower pounding? I have not, but I bought fabric. So the original piece of flower pounding, which I'm not real sure where it is, I should have got it to show you guys. My original piece of flower pounding was on fabric that my boss Susan had mordanted and just gave me. So all I had to do was a hammer, flowers, whackety whackety wacky. But I ordered this linen, and that was cotton, right? So I really prefer embroidering on linen to cotton. And so I ordered this handkerchief weight cotton, and you can see it's like that's 2 layers. You can see it is very, very fine. You can almost see through it. And I ordered alum, and I actually mordanted this myself. So this is a little stiff, and I did the mordant on it. Now I had to hang it up outside to dry. And a lesson I learned is I did it along my porch, my lanai screen, and I apparently needed to clean my screen. So, and since it was mordant, so it's kind of permanent, so I'm gonna have to incorporate these stains into it. One thing I was thinking of doing is, so this is really long. It's like 3 yards, right? And I was thinking, if I cut a strip maybe this wide, just roughly this wide, but really long, and did the flour pounding just on like the two ends, it would be like kind of like a flowy scarf kind of situation. And that could be really fun. The grunge whoop. Yeah. So so this is the ridiculous amount of fabric, and I show you this much, and this is like folded over. So it's this wide. So it's like 60-inch fabric, and this is doubled over. So I have a lot of fabric, so I can pound a lot of flowers. There's so many things that I thought about when I was thinking about this. I wished I had had this fabric, because if I had had this fabric already taken care of when I went to Switzerland, I could have I saw lots of flowers in Switzerland. And if I had taken small pieces of fabric with me on my travels, it would have been so cool to, on a day, as I was going, pick some flowers, and in the evening pound them into the fabric. And then I could have like a travel log of flowers from my travel, from my trip, which I think would have been really cool. And you could frame it, or you could do whatever you wanted with it, make a pillow out of it. So I'm going to keep the fabric, and I'm going to figure out what I want to do with it. Okay, Bonnie likes the scarf idea. Lindsay likes the travel log concept. Um, yeah, Cindy, the odds of me making a skirt are very low. See, even more things, but Celeste, just a little piece of fabric, especially handkerchief Winnie, it's not really going to take up that much space. The hammer, on the other hand, I definitely would not take on my carry-on luggage. No. I just thought it would be cool, because that was one thing I really enjoyed about Zurich. Um, in all the areas that like my area. So you have medians, and like there's the space where you have like grass, sidewalk, grass, houses, or grass, sidewalk, buildings and businesses and stuff. In most of those areas, they don't have grass. It's like wildflowers, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I know that Texas has like a wildflower program like that. And instead of having a grass that has to be mowed and maintained and things like that, it's wild, native wildflowers, which I think is really, really cool. I really wish I would have had that. Heavy rock? Deborah says instead of a hammer, I could use a heavy rock. Cindy and Deborah, y'all are thinking alike. They both suggested rocks. That is absolutely funny. Okay, Elizabeth. Elizabeth asked on Facebook what to do when your mojo leaves you, what to do when you can't figure out what you want to knit yet. And what I've been talking about is what I do to refresh my passion. I follow all kinds of people that do all kinds of artwork on Instagram. Pinterest is also very good for it. But just seeing other people who are passionate about their art and seeing what they're doing really renews me. And sometimes you'll just see like a color scheme or something that you're like, "Ooh, I love those colors together." And then maybe with the idea that you love those colors, go and look at, if you're on Ravelry, go look at patterns you have favorited or saved over the years and see if those colors would work in any of those, or go into your stash and see if you have any yarn already that has those colors in it that you're like, "This is gorgeous." And then once you have that yarn, go onto Ravelry and do the advanced search, narrow down to that yarn weight, and just see what you could make with that particular yarn. But looking at non-knitting crafts really is one thing that I use to fire myself up and giving myself permission to let knitting take the back burner a little bit and do something. And I will tell you, one of the ways that doing some oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I just glanced at this. Shawnig said picking wildflowers is illegal in Western Australia, a $2,000 fine. Well, that is a good thing to know, and I would not pick them because I am very much a rule follower when it comes to rules like that. But who would have thought? Holy cow. Um, so maybe go visit a friend, and if they have pretty flowers in their garden, ask them if you could have their flowers because don't do anything that's going to cost $2,000. No trillium. Now, trilliums, I knew those are little tiny flowers that grow in like the understory and kind of in damp areas. Yeah, there are definitely protected species. There are a lot of, strangely enough, in the North Georgia mountains, there are a lot of carnivorous plants that are protected, like pitcher plants and things like that. So, you have to be cognizant of where you are and what you're doing in our interactions with nature. So, but flowers that I planted, I think I can whack with a hammer. Or ones that are growing in my lawn. But Elizabeth, I don't know if that helps at all. Oh, what I was going to say is before I got distracted by the $2,000 wildflower picking fine, uh, sometimes I go and I give myself permission to try these other crafts and I start playing with them. And then I'm like, I'm going to go back to knitting because it's something I'm good at. Because I tried this other craft and I'm really not good at it. Or it's something that I would have to work at considerably to get better at. And I'm like, maybe I should pick up some knitting to make myself feel better about my skill level. So that is one way. My golfer is asking, has anyone tried the new Chow Goose swivels, silver cables? We have not gotten those in yet, but they are on my list. I love a swivel cable on a needle. One of my favorite features on a needle. And as long as their cable, the silver cable, is still that nice vinyl covered stainless steel, I am betting they are going to be awesome. Lindsay said, you don't have to be good at something you love doing it. And that's and you know what? You are 100% right. You don't have to be good at it. You can, I'm not good at embroidery and I'm still doing it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You should do something because you enjoy it and you love it. But doing something badly does inspire me to maybe remind myself that there are things I do well and I do those as well. And so that was, we were talking about, is inspiration. Yes, Deborah is saying other person's creativity can be very inspiring. That is what I used a bunch of words to say, looking at those kind of things. Yes, Ruth, swivel meaning that they twist 360 so they don't tangle and smack you. That is exactly what it means. A swivel is, see, this is a fixed, this is a haya, and see how the cable fixes in here. But the swivel cables, and haya does have them, what happens is the wire rotates in the socket so that even though, like, I put a lot of torque because of the motion of my knitting, and yeah, the cable does this bit. The swivel allows the needle to turn without flapping the cable. So yes, that is what they are theoretically doing. The set is $300. Okay, Linda, I'm I do not. Maybe I won't be trying them out. If they sell the cables separately, I will definitely be trying them out. Or if they put them on their fixed needles, that would be my preference because I like fixed needles. Yes, the Clover Takumis have the swivel. A lot of them are really cool. Yes, trying a new technique can renew an interest in a hobby. So lots of cool things there. So I don't know what possessed me. Earlier this week, I was thinking about mitered squares. Okay, Nikki says they do sell the cables separately for the Chow Goose. They just started to advertise them this week. So yes, when I can get my hands on a separate cable, I will not be getting my hands on a $300 set. I will play with them. Yes, I will definitely be looking at that. Mitered squares. Have y'all ever done mitered squares? I knew in theory how they worked, but I hadn't ever actually knit one. And I was thinking that might be a fun, the videos I make where I walk you through step by step. I was thinking a miter square might be fun, something to teach y'all. Miter squares are something you can definitely just make a washcloth. It's more of a formula than a cast on X number of stitches. Ruth Brash, I just laughed out when you said mitered squares because I've done a sock yarn blanket of them. It took me 5 years. Yes. So this is what I did because I wanted to play with it. And I started with this one, and then I cast on 21 stitches and did this mitered square and had 1 stitch left. And then I cast on 10 stitches and used that cast on and picked up and knit 10 along this and did a mitered square. And then I had 1 left, and then I cast on 10 more and did the mitered square. And eventually I got to this, but we still have the little flappy here. But that could be, ooh, let me get Monsieur Commander Wrecker. I mean, did you wear a square shawl? I mean, is that something? Is a square shawl a thing? I don't know. If you knit more and more, then it would overlap and it would have a lot of coverage. I don't know. The problem I ran into is the first one I did is upside is the if you call one side, it's garter, so it's not really right side wrong side, but if you call one side right, this side the right side and this side the wrong side, the other 3, the right side wrong side, are flipped because you can see the actual visible decreases are here on this, but then on this side on the rest of them. So I don't know what I did wrong. You can see the pick up and knits here, so it definitely has a right side and a wrong side, but I don't know. It was fun to play with. I just sat on my bed and did it. Okay, let's see. While I'm babbling. Oh, so Celeste has both quilted and knitted them. Mitered squares are fun. You use an even number of stitches on the row. The center. Yes. Well, I actually did an uneven stitch knit and crochet tiger. What I did is I did 21. So I had that center thing and did double decreases. So instead of this, I don't know, I did it differently. I just made it up because I didn't read anyone's instructions because I'm horrible about reading instructions. Arnetta made a shawl with the mitered squares. Provisional cast on and graft the ends. That is an excellent suggestion, Celeste. But I'm not much of a provisional cast on person, but you're right. If it was longer, it could be a Ruana. That's interesting, Knitwitch. But what would happen is these would need to be, they'd have to be rectangle. I'll have to contemplate that. I don't know. My famous models. I know, I got to pay him overtime. Okay. I love the CCD so you can see the decrease line. Yes, I use the CCD. CDD is the centered double decrease. And what that is you slip 2, you insert like you're going to knit 2 together and slip those 2 stitches, knit the next stitch and pass both slip stitches simultaneously over, and you get a centered double decrease. Double decreases, really what it's about is which of the 3 stitches come out on top. With a left leaning double decrease, this stitch ends up going this way. With a right leaning, this stitch ends up going this way, and a center double decrease, you end up with these 2 stitches behind and you have just a center line up the middle. I really love the look of it. So this, yes, they Knit Crochet Tiger. I use the center double decrease, and that's how I ended up with So it was 10 stitches, 1 stitch, 10 stitches. But you can increase. You could do 15, 1, 15, 16. It makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. Hello, Trish. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had an enjoyable dinner. So this, a couple people have mentioned that they like this. My golfer, this is not a shawl. This is a capelet. So this is Isochronal Arc. It's from my Mosaic and Lace book. I'm going to put it on, even though it's ludicrously hot. And it's the small medium, so it's not my size. But it does, it's a little on the tight side. It's a little tight in the boobular region. But you can see this is the small medium, and then there's a large, extra large version of it. And it is in the Mosaic and Lace book, but also you can get this pattern on Knitty. It was in Knitty, and the issue is this. This, I mean, it's very T-Rexy on me because it's not my size. Yes. So it is bottom up. So the way the scallops happen is that your cast on is down here at the bottom, and then you have these color work panels, and you can see the color work see these little pyramids, these little triangles right here. And so you've got these little pyramids, and then the fans, and actually there's something very similar to this. Actually, it might even be the same stitch at the bottom in the library with the candlestick, which somebody mentioned they were knitting. And you just repeat that, and then we've got the bind off is up here. So thank you, Tabitha. That was a very kind thing to say. I don't know what's going on back there. Probably regret standing up. Oh, I'm glad y'all like that. Yes, Jamie, there are a lot of them in the candlestick. It's at the end. I like those little pyramid-y things. They're fun. There you go, Debbie. You have the book. You can knit it. It would be a cute skirt, Ruth. You should get right on that. I do not do garments. Yeah, you could totally make it into a skirt. It would definitely be cute as a skirt. If it doesn't fit around this part of me, it definitely isn't going to fit around the bottom part of me. So Trish has said she was thinking about translating it for fingering weight yarn. Here are my thoughts on taking it to fingering weight. This is worsted weight. And you can see these are the color work details. And it's a very small detail. And if you were to go down to fingering weight, they would be very small indeed. And I don't know that it would be worth the effort that it would take to do all the color work. When at a distance, you're not going to see it at all. And that's one of the challenges when I'm designing the mosaic lace, is that most of the time, all of the color work is only 1 stitch wide. And it can get lost. But if it's what you want to do, also you can buy more yarn, Trish. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. It's going to involve a lot of math. I'm just telling you, but you could try. If you really wanted to use fingering weight, you could hold a fingering weight double, which will get you up to DK, which is still not quite the worsted, because this is a very true, almost heavy worsted. But that's why in the book, there are quite a few things that are in worsted and DK and sport weight, because I wanted them to have that presence because the stitches are only one right. I'm not saying you can't do mosaic and the mosaic lace in fingering. There are plenty of patterns. I've written them, but this particular one, the motif is so small that I don't know that it would be worth the effort. There we go. Oh, good. Shauna just found her Mojo. I do. You know what? I love fingering weight yarn. I just like when I was like, hey, let's do this, I randomly grabbed a ball of this. I have no idea. I think this is Sweet Georgia, Possibly. I don't know. It's yarn. I have it. I don't have the tag for it, so I just kind of let it be. I love swatching, Celeste. Speaking of swatching, I've been playing with this swatch. Again, grabbed random ball of yarn. Only this time it's sport weight, and I'm pretty sure I know what this is. It's a discontinued yarn, so I can't ever design anything with it. But look at this. What do y'all think of this? I'm holding it still so y'all can get a good look at it. What do you think of that? Is it cool? So I'm experimenting. So the bottom here is slightly different than the top of here. And I'm going to flip it over and you'll see. So you can see this is entirely worked in stockinette, and this one I put a little bit, which I like the top better because I think it makes it almost it's not reversible, but it makes it a two-sided pattern. I think it would look really cool on both sides. Look how deep that texture is. I really like it. Okay. What are you doing to me, computer? There we go. I think it's cool. Oh, hello, Barbara. I hadn't said hi to Barbara. And Tabitha, hello. You said something nice earlier. But yeah, so this is kind of, I think I might have to do a video if I decide. I don't know what. Okay, so I made up this stitch. I mean, I totally made it up, right? So now I'm like, this is what I like to do, but now I'm like, but if other people want to knit it, what would it be? I mean, would you want a scarf? Would you want a cowl? Would you want a hat? Do I need to do a full-blown shawl? It's a lot of work. It is a fiddly thing. It involves on the purl side, double wrapping the purl. So you pull it through. So I would definitely need to do a tutorial on it because it's sort of a hybrid between a cross stitch and a cable, but it's not really a cable, and there's no yarn overs. There are no yarn overs in this. Okay. 0 yarn overs. So it's a mystery. Sampler shawl with a bunch of random stitches. Beautiful. Okay, so Lindsay votes for one of my crescents with an insert panel. That would be totally. Yes. That's a good idea too, Elise. One of the reasons I was thinking of a scarf is definitely one of those things that needs to look good on both sides. A cowl. What about a collection? Maybe I could do a scarf, a cowl, and a shawl. That's going to involve a lot of knitting. You'll see it in like a year. This is the problem. Well, Shawnig says she lost her mojo because she stopped casting on anything until I finished my whips. I don't know. I'm of two minds there because I am very project monogamous, because if I don't finish things, I don't come back to them, and I really need to finish things. But if it's a choice between not knitting at all, I mean, if you really, really don't want to finish those whips, if you don't want to finish those works in progress, knit something else. Wheel Trish, I cast on multiple. Oh, so you're just making it up as you go along, Trish. Well, that is a whole lot of fun. Lots of multiples of 48. That is a really good. So Trish has said, I cast on multiples of 48 because there are a lot of numbers that go evenly into 48. Brilliant. So I can just knit until I get sick of something and then change it up. Well, that is a fantastic way to just be knitting. And I think that answers one of the questions we were discussing earlier about what to do to get your mojo back. So that is definitely, and let me tell you, I got the Stitch Dictionaries. So many Stitch Dictionaries. I can never get tired of knitting out of Stitch Dictionaries. And speaking of Stitch Dictionaries, I was working on getting all of the information to String Theory Yarn in the Glen Ellen, Illinois, about The classes that I'm teaching, did y'all see the video today? Did you see the announcement or get my newsletter that I'm going to be teaching in person in Glen Ellen, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago, at the end of August? I'm going to be teaching on the 27th and the 28th. And one of the classes I'm teaching is my Japanese stitch dictionary class, doing all the wild and wacky manipulative stitches that like do wacky things that really are not hard necessarily, but it just is hard to figure out what it means by the written instructions. And one of the things they wanted me to send them was information on books that after people take my class, they might want to be like buying in this store. So I was going through and sending them the USBN. Linda, you're going? I'm so excited. I would love to meet some of y'all, and definitely if you are there and you do meet me, or if you're ever happen to be someplace and you're like, hey, that's Barbara, please come say hi. It's exciting for me, just as exciting for me as it is for you. I 100% promise you. I was sending them USBNs for the books that I have that I recommend, and while I was on Amazon, I saw new Japanese stitch dictionaries, and whoopsie, I kind of bought them. I was like, oh my no, oops, I bought that, and I bought that. So I have two new Japanese stitch dictionaries that I'm very excited about, and there's already one in here that I'm like, ooh, I need to do that one, and I need to do that one, and it's just got. I love stitch dictionaries. I love playing with them. Look at this one. How cool is this one? Look at that. Isn't that cool? But one of the things, so also, I always look at them upside down too, because depending on what direction you're knitting, it can be upside down. So they look different in different ways. They definitely could be an owl kind of situation. There are all kinds of, I got it. So this cable, okay, I know. I am not a huge cable person. I mean, I enjoy cables. I haven't designed with a lot of cables, but look at this cable right here. Not this center part with the bobbles, although that is cool. This one here that has this kind of swing out arm. It almost looks like flying buttresses or something. I just really love that cable. I think it's really, really interesting. It like, because you've got this one that's going up and up and up and up, but then this one comes in and wraps every other. I just have never seen anything like that, and I thought it was very, very cool. There's just so many. I love stitch dictionaries. And there's like this one. Look at this one. This one is similar to the one that's in my cape back there. This has got that same shape, but mine is solid here where it's got the stripes, but you could definitely incorporate that same triangular colorwork motif in there, and it would be really cool. Cindy, I got Cindy into the Barbara Walker books from the first library and I had to buy them. That's what happened to me with Barbara Walker. I checked them out, and then I'm like, nope, gotta own these. So yeah, so stitch dictionaries, and what Trish said about just casting on and knitting away is really, speaks to my heart. There's so many cool things in this one. This one is different. So this one, Hitomi Shida. I already have a couple of her books, but this one is very new to me. This one is a dictionary. This is from Nihon Vogue. This is from the Japanese Vogue. What one stitch dictionary? Barbara, seriously? What one dictionary would you recommend? If you could only own one stitch dictionary. I would say this one. This is a second treasury of knitting patterns. It is Barbara Walker. So it depends on your style of knitting. If you are more of a traditional knitter, and if you want a lot of solid stitches and also written instructions. So this is all written instructions. If you are a written instruction, yeah, Trish, Barbara Walker, the red one. Now, if you are a chart person and you like more challenging and intricate stitches, this would also be an option. I would say that these two, this is for chart lovers. And also, one of the fascinating things about this one is the back of it is crochet stitches. So it's dual duty. But this one has a wealth of amazing things in it. This one, written instructions. So I don't think I could give either of these two up. But if you don't do charts, number one, and really love this one, this would be the only slightly like this, like the recommendation is that like this, I recommend just this much more. So these are the two big ones, and they are literally the two big ones as well. Oh my goodness, did you hear them hit the ground? Let's put this back up here. Okay, what have we got here? Yeah, the 260, that's the one. 250. Okay, so 260 is the one I have. That is, so Knit Crochet Tiger. The 260 is the first one that was translated. This one is a different one, and it has other things in it. So that is very cool. And then this one is the Nihon Vogue, which has stitches designed by other Japanese designers. So there's some really interesting things in here that I had not. I mean, a lot of it is the same thing that I've seen in other places, but a lot of it is not. And there's some really, really cool stuff in here, like this one. This one right here. This one right here is actually incredibly similar to Sunspots, which is in one of Barbara Walker's books. So there's a lot of overlap between a whole bunch of these stitches, stitch dictionaries. But if I start looking through it and I see several things that I'm like, whoa, 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 haven't seen that, it goes add to cart. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it because it's yellow. Look at that one. That one is super cool. So Barbara has asked me, how old is Japanese knitting? I have not the earthliest idea. I don't know anything about the history of Japanese knitting. I just know that I love the stitches and I love playing with them, but I'm afraid I am not in any way an expert on the subject of Japanese knitting in general. What I have spent a long time working on, and to an extent teaching myself about, because I started long before there were any of these Gail Roam translations, is the stitch patterns and figuring out how to execute them. But I don't know anything about Japanese knitting traditions or history, or even I don't even really know anything about Japanese actual knitting patterns, just the stitch dictionaries. That is the only thing I've spent any time with. Okay. We are having a fantastic chat, and I love that y'all talk to each other. That is fantastic. So I showed you my Japanese stitch dictionaries that I'm super duper excited about. And I showed you, so this is a thumbs up. We got to figure out what to do with it. I got to figure out what to call it because it doesn't have a name because I just made it up. And mitered squares. What did we have a consensus on mitered squares? Would a mitered square video be fun? It's definitely, I was thinking of it in the same vein. I don't know how y'all felt. Did you see the poncho video? Because the poncho video is all y'all's fault, because y'all started talking about ponchos last time and I had to do the poncho video. And I thought it was interesting and different because what it was is the idea of any yarn And that's also what I was playing with the mitered square. It's something we would definitely talk about. You have to figure out your yarn, and you have to figure out how big you want to make the thing. And you can make anything from a, you know, tiny little squares that you spend 5 years putting together like Ruth, up to like a baby blanket. I mean, you could do a mitered square baby blanket. So secret lock stitch, that's actually a really cool, dude. Lindsay, you have got to like direct message that to me. Secret lock stick is really, I like that name a lot. Okay, so Deborah is good on the mitered square. Any new patterns coming? Arnetta, I'm afraid not right now. I had wrapped up Cloudy in Paris right before I went on my trip. And then everything kind of went sideways with the trips and COVID, and I haven't really picked anything back up, but I need to start. Okay, so yes, on the mitered square video. So that is definitely, actually, I have a pen. I need to write down. I have my bunny pen. He's so cute. Okay, mitered square video and secret lock stitch. Thank you, Lindsay. That is a great name. I will pay you a quarter. I would love to know how to turn mitered squares into something other than blankets. Well, squares sewn together are rectangles, and there are multiple different ways to turn rectangles into ponchos. So you could fairly easily turn mitered squares into ponchos. You just make rectangles, and as was suggested earlier, ruanas are definitely an option. There's amazing number of things you can make with. You can make cardigans with rectangles, squares. Just if you do 4 squares tall and 3 squares wide, you have a rectangle. So that is definitely an option. Yeah, mitered square poncho. Exactly. Mitered square purse. Definitely. I didn't give you any info on Japanese history, Barbara. I don't know anything about it, but I'm sorry about that. Yes, you could definitely do a purse. A stepped triangular shawl, that could actually be really interesting. Full-size blanket in mitered squares in red and blue, because he's a Braves fan. Well, you are a brave woman. I don't know anything about putting blankets together. The only blankets I've done are full-size ones, like that I knit in one big thing. Yes, so dishcloths. I love washcloths. That's definitely. Granny square vest, you could totally do miter square vests. Frankly, anything that they made granny squares into. I mean, have you seen like Harry Styles wearing the granny square like boy shorts and things like that? You could just stick them all together. Mona Cunningham has asked, I bought one of your patterns. Could I email you a question that I have about it? So if you look at my patterns in the front page where the pictures are, so you have pictures, and then you have a chunk of you have down the side will be all the stitches. Across the bottom are like gauge and yarn, and then there'll be a little chunk of text that is called the romance language. It's where I talk about either the inspiration or the yarn or everything. But if on every single one of my patterns, at the bottom of that romance text, it says, if you have any questions, please email me, and provides my email address. So yes, pattern support is part of buying from an independent designer. Now, I will do my best to help you work through whatever challenges you have, but and I'm not saying that you would do this. There are people who take that to be like, I will teach them how to knit. And that's not part of it. Teaching you how to knit, that's what I do on the YouTube channel. And I might send you some videos a lot of times. And a lot of times the videos I make are because of pattern support questions that I have received. But yes, if you have purchased one of my patterns, you will find my email address on there. And you can definitely email me your question. I will do my best to help you and enable you to work through your issue. Freeform knitting, yeah, that I can't even do. Casey has asked me, what shawl pattern of yours would you recommend for a beginner? So if you are a beginner, I just recently did a video on what is literally a 1-row shawl. Let me go into my content and I will copy and paste a link for you. And it really is, the easiest thing you could do. Oh, let me find it. I stick out my tongue. It helps me concentrate. Here we go. Get a shareable link. Copy to cupboard. There we go. So that is the easy free 1-row knitting pattern for crescent shaped shawls. I have other like knitting tutorials that are other shawl shapes that you can definitely do. And I just recently created a playlist on the channel that I'm going to get a link to. Oh, Linda, you're working on the 1-row one? That's great. So that is the link to the playlist that I put all of the beginner tutorial type things in there. Mona's making it too. There you go. My golfer is asking, I'm knitting my shawl, my first project, but apparently I cannot count beyond 50. Any tip to keep track of the number of stitches? So are you trying to cast on? Where are the counting things? It depends on what you're doing. If you are not using stitch markers, there we go. Lindsay got it. Locking stitch markers. What you can do is use a stitch marker that's different than any stitch marker you're using to mark an element of the pattern, and put in stitch markers every so many stitches as you're counting. So 25 marker, 25 marker, 25 marker. So then you know what it is up to there. Yes. Stitch markers, light bulb pins. You're on row 80. Well, you're going along. It's that is, as you see, multiple of us using stitch markers can definitely help you count. You can even get little stitch markers that have numbers on them. They say like 5, 10, 25, like 25, 25, 25. They're all different kinds of them. So that is really cool. Yarn Over Girl. Hello, Lisa. This is not a poncho per se. This is a capelet is what I called it. Here, I'm going to spin her. See? So it's not really a poncho. I call it a capelet. It's kind of poncho-esque. Depends on what you consider a poncho. We've had long and involved discussions on that here on the live. See, there we go. Shawnee also with the stitch markers. Stitch markers really are, I love stitch markers. I have so many stitch markers. I never have enough stitch markers. Thank you so much, Lisa and Mona. I'm glad you like it. It is called isochronal arc. Here, let me get a link. So it is in my book. It is in my book, Mosaic and Lace Knits, but it is also one that as a marketing thing, my publishing company had it, allowed us to put it in Knitty. So it is actually a pattern that is available for free through Knitty. Arnetta, you just finished Anella Mollis and you're donating it to the Cancer Center. That is incredibly kind of you. Did you enjoy knitting it? That is a large shawl, so it should keep someone warm. I like that pattern a lot. I enjoyed knitting it. I like knitting worsted weight shawls. It's super fun. Stitch markers. Yes, totally, Lindsay. I agree. I wish we could see a picture of, well, and that is what the Facebook group is for. Thanks for mentioning that. That is one of the main reasons way back in the day we started the Facebook group, the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group, was so that we could actually share pictures of what we're working on, because that's what's super fun. That's what I enjoy doing. I like seeing what y'all are working on. If a lot of times people will ask comments in the YouTube videos, like, I have this yarn, and they try to describe the yarn to me and ask me if it's going to be good for something. And that's hard to tell. If you show me a picture, I can usually get a better idea of things. So that is one of the primary reasons we started the Facebook group. So if you have a picture of the Anella Mollis, we would love to see it if you're in the Facebook group, Arnetta. And this is something I always forget to do. If you are enjoying this YouTube live, if you could click that little thumbs up button to tell YouTube that you're enjoying it, because I've been having small battles with the algorithm recently. What do y'all think about shorts? Okay, the shorts, the little short YouTube short, they're like 1 minute long. I personally don't care for, I mean, a minute. What can you do in a minute? It's them trying to compete with TikTok, but they're actually penalizing. I don't know if I can say this. This might get me in trouble with the YouTube gods. They're actually, like, with the algorithm, if you don't do shorts, they're not showing any of your videos to people. I think they're incentivizing people to do the shorts. So you like see Trish hated them, Linda liked them. And I really think the shorts work better on TikTok, and well, Instagram is kind of forcing us into reels because, again, the algorithm, they're not I don't really like them on this platform. I don't, but the problem is, if I don't do shorts, they're not. And I honestly think, how many of y'all have been receiving your notifications? If you're subscribed to my channel, how many of y'all have been receiving the notifications when I put up a new video? Because I don't think they're sending out notifications. And I think they're really waiting. I don't know that they're weighting me down because I'm not doing shorts, but they definitely are weighting people who do shorts much higher in the algorithm, because it's just, a lot of my videos aren't getting the kind of views that they typically get. So you see them every Thursday. That's great, Jamie, but Deborah doesn't. Yeah. See, and I put up the thing about the live section. So really, I think YouTube is penalizing me for not doing shorts, which is super frustrating because I don't think they're very informative. I just, I don't know. Well, thank you. Well, I think that some people get it and some people don't. YouTube picks and chooses, I guess. Super fun. I'm gonna, I keep on doing, I try to post every single Thursday. I've been posting every single Thursday since 2016. So even if you don't get a notification, Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern time, just after lunch, that is when my videos go live. See, and I don't pop up randomly. See, I don't know. I don't know what. You can't, I don't know where the thumb. Oh, thank you so much, my golfer. Yeah, I'm not crazy about them either, Arnetta. So I might have to continue making the shorts. My apologies to those of y'all who don't like the shorts. I hope they don't discourage you from continuing to watch my channel. I might have to do it to remain relevant in the algorithm. Really not my favorite thing to do. I don't know. I'm not going to start dancing though. I'm not going to dance. You can't make me. You can't make me dance. So thank you all so much for joining me. Did anyone else have any questions about? Oh, well, I should show you. Just in case you didn't see today's video, I am teaching. As I mentioned earlier, I am teaching at String Theory Yarn Company at the end of August, the 27th and 28th. I am teaching 4 classes. Ooh, interesting. Trish, you said you usually skip them, but for some people, they use them as commercials for upcoming videos. That is interesting. Hmm. I'll have to look into that. Elizabeth, you're killing me. I don't know. I'm trying to get mystery knit-alongs are so hard for me. Excuse me, I'm whining. It's just so against my natural inclination of how I design. I mean, In the Library was my first and only mystery knit along, and I am happy with how it came out. I think it is a lovely shawl, but it's just difficult. Jackson Galaxy. I will look that up, Trish. Let me get my bunny pen again. Okay. Knitting string theory. Yes, the commercial idea is interesting. Um, Mona, no, it is not. It is a Mona has asked for the one-line shawl. Is the cast on the bottom of the shawl? It, in fact, is not. It is a top-down crescent. You start off with a very small number of stitches, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you run out of the yarn, or you decide it's big enough. Cat Whisper, Jackson Galaxy, the cat dude. I will definitely look that up. So, my classes. I am going to be teaching the mosaic and lace class, which is all the stuff in my book. You could learn how to make this. I'm going to be teaching my Japanese stitch class that we talked about. I'm going to be teaching tips and tricks for knitting with variegated yarn. It's when you have those challenging skeins of yarn and you're trying to figure out what pattern is going to like them. This is it. And then this is a new class. This is a class that has never been taught before. This is Know Your Yarn, Love Your Project, and it is a class on understanding yarn requirements for patterns and how to make effective yarn substitutions. We are going to go through calculating yardage. We're going to go in depth with what a yarn weight is, including WPI and grist. We're going to talk extensively about fiber content, and then we're going to address yarn structure and the significant effects it can have on performance in your project. So that class I'm pretty excited about. It is going to be super cool. I'm excited about it. I have to finish writing it. See, there we go. Knit Witch. I hate mystery knit alongs. Some people absolutely adore them. It just depends. I need to get them done though. I'm excited about this class. I really have to get it fleshed out. I already have the basic structure of it, and then I have to fill in the structure. It's going to be interesting because typically the first time I teach a class, I realize I've tried to pack way, way, way too much information into a class because I want my students to have bang for their buck. I want to give them as much information as I possibly can. And I can talk a lot. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to do my best. I've found that I understand better what I can get through in 3 hours. So that is good. Yeah, Krista, I know. Do you get a degree after that class? Cindy, that's funny. I don't know. Maybe I should make little certificates. That would be hilarious. If I know how many students there's going to be, that could be kind of funny. What would that be? Yarn University? Oh, dude, I was trying to get off. I wish you could be there and I can't. Yeah, I hate the shorts too, Krista, but I will figure it out. I'm going to try this whole commercial thing. I talk a Is that sarcasm, Trish? Trish said, "You talk a lot." No way. I'm pretty sure that's how she said it. Um, I am so excited, Linda. I think this art fair is going to be really cool. The idea that you have the art fair and that fiber festival going on at the same time, I think it's really cool. Yarn you. So, okay, I got to tell y'all, and this is completely ridiculous. I had a dream once. It was one of those incredibly realistic dreams. And I was I owned a yarn store in this dream. And it was where I lived in Tucker, and it was in this strip mall, and it was in an old value village. Okay. So it's not huge, but it is a big, much larger than a normal yarn store would be. Village, it was sort of, it's like a predates dollar store, very old school, kind of like a handy hardware kind of, it's like a hardware store size. It's a big store in a strip mall, had a red awning and big yellow letters on it. And I owned this store, and it was big store, and it had that old school hard floors that aren't linoleum, but they're like those squares. And in the front of this store, I had like a padded area for people to just leave their kids. So it was like had like the little toys, the big bubbly plastic toys with little slides and stuff like that, and had like a woman there who, like a grandma there, who sat there and knit and watched the kids as they played in there. So that was like part of my dream, which this dream was when my kid was like maybe 3 or 4 years old, so that made sense. But the whole reason I'm telling this story is because the name of the store, and it was a red awning with these big yellow letters, but it was the same logo as Value Village. So it was these big sans serif kind of chunky letters, said Yarn Universe. The name of the store was Yarn Universe, but it was in like 3-foot tall yellow plastic 3D letters across the whole front of this store. It's like Yarn Universe. And it was incredibly funny. I don't know why. I thought that would be an incredibly funny name for a store. And the inside of it was had that really, the shelves were those kind of sort of triangular shaped shelves that leaned in on each other and had the metal poked in holes. It felt like a 1950s kind of store. It was really just a strange, strange dream. Yarny Palooza, that one is fabulous as well. We should all have fake yarn stores, our imaginary yarn stores. Barbara Benson's Yarn Universe. It would be super funny. Yeah, we should all have imaginary yarn stores. There was who was it? There was a woman who did, it was a Pinterest, early in Pinterest. There was a woman who did these pins that were talking about clothing she had for her imaginary toddler or something like, I don't know. It's wild. Yeah, coffee shop, live music, classes, spinning demonstration. Yes. All of those kinds of things are really cool, Trish. And like when I would fantasize when I was awake, but this had a this had an almost Woolworths feel to it. I don't know why. It was super vintage. It was strange. Okay. So now I am just absolutely babbling. So we have mixed feelings on shorts. Um, so I'm probably going to have to continue to produce them. I'm really going to look into this commercial idea. Maybe we can just do talking head kind of things. I was trying to do like hand demos, but I might see what I can do, because people who did say they enjoyed the Barbara fix, I can see what I can do. I like this commercial idea. But for those of you who don't like them, my apologies. I hope it doesn't deter you from watching. They're just kind of, you have to appease the YouTube algorithm sometimes. Yarnshire, that is an excellent thing. I used to have a chicken coop. I used to have chickens in Georgia, and the name of it was, I'm going to type it in. Here we go. The only problem with shorts as commercials is, I hate to tell y'all, sometimes I'm making the video, the Thursday video is getting made on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not very organized, so I don't know I can get it ahead of time. I'll have to get ahead of things. So I'm going to type it out. So the name of my chicken coop was Floxton Paradise. And those are my nerds here. It's a reference to the Fifth Element, and the cruise ship in the Fifth Element is Floston Paradise, but we called it Floxton Paradise. So it was incredibly funny. It's where my it's where I had my chickens. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious, just personally. And actually, okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to go get something to show y'all. I have to go into the other room. Birds, birds. Hello, birds. I know. Somebody coming with me? You want to come with me? Where's she? Judy, Judy, Judy. Come on. Come on. Are you coming? Okay, no. Okay. There she goes. Whoops. So I acquired a couple of things. I acquired a bird. So this is Judy. I acquired because I left the room and they are out. I'm here. I'm here. So I want to show you this. My mom made me this sign. This was the sign for Floxton Paradise. There's a bigger sign that has it written in Star Trek letters. But this is, look at this guy. He's got the Star Trek symbol on him, and he's like an egg in his EVA thing. And we've got Foghorn Leghorn and Chicken Little. My mom, and look, she did a chicken Princess Leia. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Cluckingham Palace is good. So this shows you that the nerdy apple does not fall far from the tree. I don't know what all of these are, but they're pretty funny. And my mom is an amazing artist. She just kind of winged this. Ha! So that is the Floxen Paradise sign. My mom painted this. I can't paint my way out of a paper bag, but love it. So this is Miss Judy. Say hello, Judy. Oh, say hiss. She's mad. Big mad. Here, say hi. There she is. Say hello. Say good bird. So Judy is my son's bird. Mwah. I don't know if anybody watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She is actually named after a character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Doug Judy, but we decided Doug was not a good name for a female cockatiel. She is now running around everywhere. You can't be in here. You're not supposed to be in here. No. The other one's name is Sugar because she's so sweet, but she's actually a little stinker. And she wants to jump down on the keyboard and chew on my wires is what she wants to do because it's fun. There we go. But she's a good girl most of the time. Okay, we have had enough sufficient. I'm glad that you managed to get on. Joke. Thank you all so much. Come here, sweetheart. Get up here. She's not going to stay. And you know what birds love to chew on? This. They love to chew on the cable. So she's not really supposed to be back here with any frequency. Thank you all so much. Thank you for coming, Lindsay. Oh, I can understand that. That's a scary movie. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming. I look forward to next month. My son will have started school, so that should be pretty exciting. Thank you for all the questions and all the support. I will work on a mitered square video and figure out all the commercials, and I will see you next week. Please chat in the comments. Let me know things in Facebook Live. Thank you, Ruth, for being in here, and Kathy. Thank you so much. Oh, come on. She's just, oh my God, my bird's being ridiculous. Okay, ciao, ciao. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Okay, good night. Oh, your birthday. Happy birthday, Mona. I'm pushing the button. There we go. Okay, bye. Oh, Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Oh, man. Happy birthday, Mona. Ending it now. If it's